Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Lori. I wanted to do a video today on the current energies that we're experiencing at the end of December and what we are walking into and entering into in 2019. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. A little bit about me. I channel all different types of star beings and I work with my own team of light beings. Everything that I share on this channel is my own personal experience or experiences from my clients. Everything that I receive is from my guides, which are really beautiful light beings that communicate with me, and that's where I get and share my information from. So I also want to say that if you're listening to this in a couple months later, right, that it's still going to have, you're listening and being brought to this video at the exact time where this is happening to you. So whether it's happening to you now or whether it's happening to you 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months down the road, it's going to eventually happen for you, right? So know that just because the date says what the date says, that's very linear. We are no longer on a linear path, right? We've jumped into a quantum field where everything exists at the exact same time. So if you're being drawn to this video in whatever now moment you're in, regardless of the date, it's still going to assist you. So what's happening right now, I think it's December 7th, 18th, 19th, I can't exactly remember, but I think it's the 18th. We're entering into the winter solstice, and there is a huge amount of transmutation that's happening on an individual level, on a collective human level, and on a planetary level. Because what is happening is we are being prepared to open up into and begin to live in the fourth dimensional matrix, which means that we won't be going back and forth between a third and fourth and fifth dimensional space, which we have been the last couple of years and really intensely the last year, right? We've been having these ups and downs, ups and downs. So we'll go high into these higher states of consciousness and dimensions and frequencies, and then we drop way back down into that third dimensional matrix and third dimensional density, right? Up and down, up and down. Well, what I was told this morning was, we are literally entering into the fourth dimensional matrix. And I said, well, why are you guys calling it a matrix? And they laughed at me and they said, because you are in a bubble of consciousness that you can't see because you're in it, right? So when we talk about the third dimensional matrix, it's not a bad thing. I know there's a lot of people that talk about, oh, you're in the matrix and you're stuck in the matrix and you want to get out of the matrix. There's nothing wrong with a matrix. A matrix is a system that holds together all these other systems. It's a perfect divine experience, right? We may not like being in this matrix, but it's perfection. The matrix is perfect. And there are veils around the matrix. And these veils have been thinning and thinning and thinning. What does it mean when I say thinning? It means that the frequencies of light are increasing on the planet, in us and around us. And as those frequencies start to increase, which means spin, get higher in frequency, spinning up, speeding up, the veils between the dimensions, a fourth dimensional matrix and a third dimensional matrix, get closer and closer and closer. So we start to get closer and closer to that fourth dimensional space, right? And as the veils thin more and more, all it is us moving closer and closer and closer to that new matrix of living, that new way of being, which is a fourth dimensional space. So we can't jump to a fifth dimensional space. We have to go step by step by step. I'll say not everyone, most of us, that's how the process goes. It's a very natural, slow process, although it's been speeding up, right? And so in order to get to the fifth dimensional matrix or the fifth dimensional space, world, what everybody is calling the new earth, right? we have to move into the fourth dimensional space first, the fourth dimensional matrix, and not just tap into it and come back, tap into it. We have to actually settle into it and start living in that fourth dimensional matrix, which is really, really exciting. So that we are being prepared to literally shift into it. Now, when they talk about shifting into it, you're not all of a sudden going to wake up January 1st and be like, I'm in a totally new paradigm. I'm in the Garden of Eden. It's going to look very similar, if not identical, to your life right now. The difference is that all of these ways in which we have begun to live, being in a present moment state, feeling flow, getting out of your way, meaning you're no longer going to control things. You're going to start to connect to your higher self and let your free will go and be in the will of God, or divine will, right? Which is the will of your higher self and I am presence. Unattachment, not being attached to things any longer, which creates suffering, right? And struggle. Expectation, no expectation whatsoever. Understanding that you are a being of light that is being held by a beautiful physical form. Understanding that you have created and designed your entire life, that you have an actual blueprint. Understanding and living with the reality and the paradigm and the knowingness that there is nothing in your past that is connected to you any longer. So your past doesn't exist on an energetic level to you, connected to you anymore. It's memories, it's experiences, but it is no longer attached to you. Understanding and recognizing that karma no longer exists in this reality. There is no such thing as you have to clear or clean or deal with karma. The karmic wheel has been gone for quite some time. Humans have had a difficult time accepting this. But when you move into this fourth dimensional matrix, which we are literally opening the door and jumping into in 2019, where we will be doing it constant, nonstop, there is no karma. You will begin to, we've already been doing this, but understanding that your thoughts create your reality. What am I focusing on? That creates my reality. You have choice. In every single moment of your day, your choice creates your reality. You begin to remember and realize that you have a divine blueprint inside of you, and that every single thing that has gotten you to where you are right now, whether you enjoy it or not, is perfect and divine. These are all aspects and things that we've been tapping our toes in and feeling and beginning to live as. Our physical bodies have begun to integrate it, right? We have begun to integrate more light. We've begun to integrate a higher frequency of light. Our bodies have been exhausted. Our bodies have been sick. Our bodies have transmuted literally in different shapes. You've lost a ton of weight, gained a ton of weight, lost a ton of weight again. This is your body preparing you for this fourth dimensional matrix that we're about to jump into, right? And it's when we start to move into it now in 2019, it's going to feel as if everything is the same, right, in your reality. However, you are now living 24/7 in a higher state of consciousness. So you're not going back and forth anymore. You're staying even keeled with that higher frequency. And then you begin to go back and forth between the fourth and the fifth, fourth and the fifth, fourth and the fifth, because eventually we're going to move right into that fifth dimensional matrix. Right? But right now we're in the third dimension. We've been going back and forth between, for most of us, we think it's the fifth. We're calling it the fifth because we're cute humans, but we're nowhere near the fifth dimension yet, right? These are fourth dimensional aspects of us. Fifth dimensional aspects come in and we feel them and we can tap into them, but we've been living with fourth dimensional aspects of being. That's what we're starting to learn. It's baby steps. What's my higher self? How do I connect to my higher self? Who are my guides? How do I connect to my guides? What is divine will? How do I know that I am not listening to my ego, but instead my higher self? How do I fall into flow? How do I fall into trust? How do I fall into surrender, right? How do I let go? How do I not be attached to any outcome whatsoever? How do I stay as present as possible? How do I create my realities? How do I choose which paradigms I want to fall into? So wherever you are along your path right now, you are being accelerated these next couple of weeks to prepare you for the ability to open up and move into that fourth dimensional matrix. Now, not everybody is going to be at the vibration in which they can move into that space. So here's what I mean. We're all unique. We're all going through our own awakening process. There's no good or bad, better than, worse than. None of that exists, right? It just all is. So no matter where you are, you're still going to be jumping straight into that fourth dimensional matrix at some point, whether it's January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, 2019, right? But most of you listening to this, by the end of the next year, you will be living in a fourth dimensional matrix. You will be shifted out of a third dimensional matrix. Now, what they want us to understand is that it's now available for, we are now prepared enough, many of us are prepared enough physically, mentally, and emotionally to move into that fourth dimensional space or the fourth dimensional matrix. Now, it's not a physical space you're moving into. Everything stays the same. Everything goes the same. You're still doing your same things. It's not major shifts necessarily, divorces, breakups, moving houses, moving locations, moving out of one job into another. That's not necessarily that doesn't mean that you've moved into a fourth dimensional matrix. None of that matters. What matters is your being, your beingness. How are you being? That is how you know if you're in a fourth dimensional matrix or a third dimensional matrix, is your beingness. Are you tied and connected to people in your life that are pulling your energy, draining your energy? Are you doing things that don't serve you? Are you harming yourself, right? Are you in a state of victimhood, right? Do you believe that things are happening to you and you have no control over them? These are all third dimensional ways of being. And like I said earlier in this video, there's many different ways of being in the fourth dimension, fourth dimensional matrix, and that's what's opened. So when you are vibrating at that fourth dimensional frequency and speed, nonstop basically for most of your days, you will be able to meet that matrix and move into it. So what's been happening the last year or two is that we have been energetically raising our vibration, raising our frequency, right? And when we do that, we can tap into these fourth dimensional frequencies and fifth dimensional frequencies. But we can't hold that very long, right? So then we come back into the third dimension. And then we shift again. We're not doing this consciously. This is all happening very unconsciously to us. But it's a shift. Oh, I'm tapping into it. It's not actually you tapping into anything. It's your own energetic field and your own energetic light body shifting into higher frequencies. That's it. So everything's staying right here. You're not going anywhere. Here I am in my body. And when I start to have a little bit more light come in, when I start to have a little bit higher vibration within me, I start to tap into these other ways of being. I feel as if I am being, acting, doing things differently. Things are just different. I'm doing things differently now, right? For many of us, you've recognized by this time, or for many of us, you will begin to recognize that these things happen naturally. You don't have to study to be in a present moment state. You don't have to study to learn how to not have expectations, to not be attached, to understand divine will, right? You don't have to learn those things. They naturally just kind of start to happen as you shift. So my point is that you're not moving anywhere. You're staying right here with your environment, but you're shifting into a higher frequency. And as you shift, you can imagine that you are starting to move into a fourth dimensional matrix. A fourth dimensional matrix and a fifth dimensional matrix are currently here in the third dimensional matrix. Now, this is a little bit complicated, so stay with me. If you understand that everything is existing right now, meaning in my room right now, there are fifth dimensional beings that work with me, seventh dimensional beings that work with me, 10th dimensional beings that work with me, and anything else that's working with me or supporting me in different frequencies and dimensions. It's here right now. But because I vibrate at a third dimension, I can't access those other dimensional beings. I can't see them. Really hard for me to feel them right now in this space, right? I can't really experience them. But every once in a while, when I move myself into a meditation, I can start to tap into their energies because they're right here, right? It's the same thing with the fourth dimensional matrix, the fifth dimensional matrix, or fourth dimensional reality, fifth dimensional reality, or the new earth. When people talk about the new earth is here. It's waiting for us. It's waiting for us to shift into a vibration that matches that new earth. So we're trying to shift. We're not even trying, we are shifting to match the fourth dimensional matrix that we are about to walk into. So what they have been saying in the last couple of weeks is that we are about to be at the frequency in which we can match that fourth dimensional matrix all the time. And we can then enter into it, step into it, live it all the time. So I say step into because it literally feels like we are moving out of something and into something. But again, nothing's moving. Nothing's changing. You're not going anywhere. You're not going to see things differently. Well, visually you may. You're going to see different colors and lights and things moving perhaps. But you're going to be in the same space, same house, same everything. Right? Nothing, you're not moving anywhere. It's all right here. Your frequency is just getting to the point where it can now step into or merge into the frequency of the fourth dimensional matrix. So they're preparing us right now. A huge amount of transmutation is going on the earth plane. The earth herself is taking the dark, dense energies right now that the collective is clearing itself. So all of the destruction on the planet, all the chaos, all the turmoil, all the pain, all the suffering that's coming up into the fields of the human collective. Everything that's boiling up into the surface and that humans are playing out is literally being collected by beautiful beings of light and transmuted by the earth herself. She's literally taking it and transmuting it into light so that it can lighten her load literally, so she can shift quicker, and it can lighten the load of the human and humanity so they can shift faster. There is a speed at which we are moving right now that is unparalleled to anything we've seen or experienced in the past. So there is a huge amount of exhaustion that's happening for the human. There is a huge amount of clearing that's happening for the human. Slowing down, quieting ourselves, not wanting to do anything, right? Not wanting to work, not wanting to go to events, not wanting to talk to people, not wanting to create things, not wanting to build, literally wanting to just be still and be quiet and rest. Because what's happening to you is you're transmuting, whether you're aware of it or not. This is a transmutation that's happening at such an energetic level that you might not even be aware of it. It's not even necessarily an emotional experience that you're going to be processing or a mental experience that you're going to be processing. This is on such a cellular level that there aren't emotions coming through necessarily, or there aren't huge belief systems that are clearing. We've been doing that for so long to prepare for this transformation, for this transmutation that's happening in the next couple of weeks. This is on a cellular level. So this is not something that we're necessarily going to feel in the same way that we've been feeling all the other shifts. This is very cellular, and it's preparing us for the gate that's going to open in 2019, where we are going to be walking into the fourth dimensional matrix. And again, it's not tapping into it and coming back to 3D, tapping into it and coming back to 3D. It's literally beginning to live in a fourth dimensional space. Now, for those of you that are like, well, what about the third dimension? Oh, it's still here. It's right in front of your face. So you have to imagine, you know, they gave me this really funny analogy. If you're in your 40s or older, you'll know this toy. You remember those toys that had, it was like a round triangle thing, and then there was a toy that, there was a round triangle thing that fit inside of it, and then another one that fit inside of it, and then another one that fit inside of it, and it got smaller and smaller and smaller, and there were like 12 pieces that fit into that one big piece. That's how the matrix is. That's how the third dimension is. It's basically each layer you peel off, there's another layer right there. Then you peel that off, there's another layer right there. But when you look at it in the whole, as one big piece, right? They're all right there. Every layer is right there. So you're not escaping any of the layers. You're just moving from one layer to the next layer, to the next layer, to the next layer. And just because you've lifted out of one dimension or one layer and are now experiencing another layer or matrix, doesn't mean that that other, older, slower vibrational matrix isn't there. You're still going to see it. You're still going to see it. You've just moved over a little bit and you're just experiencing something a little bit different, right? I hope I explained that toy. You know, it's the one where there's a tiny one and then a little bit bigger and then a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. They're all fit inside one big piece. That's how the matrix, all the different matrices work. And so when you start to live in a fourth dimensional vibration and matrix, what is happening is that the third dimension is still right in front of you. So you're still going to see all the chaos, all the destruction, all the fear, all the loneliness, all the hunger, all the abuse. You're going to still see it all because it's continuing to clear. It's continuing. This is a huge shift. Huge shift. But it's absolutely incredible and amazing that we have shifted to the space that we're in right now where we can literally move into a fourth dimensional frequency all the time. A constant beingness in the fourth dimension. And that is what we are preparing ourselves for, whether we're aware of it or not. That is what we are about to walk into. And so you will still feel that you are living in a third dimensional matrix. You're still going to look around and say nothing's changed. So come inside and start to feel what's changed. Am I going back and forth like that? Or am I more even keeled now? Are things a little bit easier for me? Am I in more flow? Am I in more joy? Am I in more alignment with my higher self? Right? And again, like I said in the very beginning of this, not all of us are going to be energetically ready to move into and hold that fourth dimensional frequency. Not all of us. But the point is that it is now available. We have now gotten ourselves to a place where we can move into it on a regular basis. It's as if the earth and humans have shifted and shifted. So here's the fourth dimensional frequency, the fourth dimensional matrix, let's say. The matrix being a new way of being on the earth plane. This is the fourth dimensional, this is the fifth dimensional matrix, right? And it's still on the earth plane, but it's a totally different consciousness and reality. It's a totally different way of being and experiencing the earth. And here we are in the third dimension, which we've been at for thousands and thousands of years. And so what's starting to happen is, or what it has now happened, is the vibration has gotten high enough in this third dimensional space where those that are vibrating at this rate are going to come up to this same place, vibrate at the same rate as this fourth dimensional space, and hop over. Third dimension is still here. So there are still millions and billions of humans that are not going to be able to match this fourth dimensional matrix. But the earth and humanity has been able to shift enough of the consciousness on the earth plane and the earth herself that they can now match this fourth dimensional matrix. And so for those that are matching it, they can now move over to it. So it's as if there are multiple realities existing at the same time on the earth. Where are you on this ladder? Right? Where are you? Because the beauty of it, though, The beauty of it is that we have shifted enough now where we can match the fourth dimensional matrix and we can move into it much easier. What we've been doing is going like this and then going up here and then coming down, right? And all those up and downs we've been feeling, that's what this is. When the veil's thin, it looks like this. We're getting closer and closer to that matrix, right? The veil's thinning and thinning and thinning and thinning, and boom, veil is super thin, jump on over. And you're not actually doing anything like that, right? You're just merging with this new field, this new consciousness, the fourth dimensional matrix. And then once you're over here, this still exists. Remember that toy. You're still in this third dimensional space, but you are vibrating at a higher frequency. Your consciousness exists in a higher frequency. You're holding it. Your realities, your paradigms, your knowingness, everything about you is existing in a fourth dimensional frequency. They just showed me Jesus, right? You imagine Jesus walking the earth plane 2,000 years ago when it was 1,000 times denser than it is right now. And he was able to do the work that he did because he was holding a much higher consciousness. He was in the third dimension. He walked the third dimensional plane, but he was holding a fifth dimensional vibration and frequency. So when he was interacting with the humans, he understood everything from this fifth dimensional space and frequency. Many, many masters that walked the earth plane and did their work were living and holding a fifth dimensional consciousness in a third dimensional body. So they were still in the third dimension. We can't escape the third dimension. Not for a very long time. It's going to be very interesting how we transition. However, and when I say transition, I mean physically transition. So we're not even close to physically transitioning into a fourth dimensional or fifth dimensional space. That's a totally different type of transitioning that we're going to be doing, ascension that we're going to be doing. This is like phase one, basically. Because if you have to understand, to be in a fifth dimensional, to have a physical form in a fifth dimension, you should be able to see through your hands. That's a physical form in a fifth dimension. So we're not anywhere near that. We're still in a third dimensional matrix, meaning our physical form is still in a third dimensional matrix. But our consciousness and our energy is shifting into the fourth and then the fifth. And then eventually the physical form and the earth herself will be able to shift and hold. But that takes a very long time, the fifth dimensional reality, which is the new earth. Very, very long time. May never happen in my lifetime. I don't know. I mean, look at my hand. When am I going to be able to see through it? I don't know. But that's fifth dimension on a physical reality, not on an energetic reality. So we have been talking about ascension on a very energetic, on an energetic way, not physical. Even though we're talking about the physical symptoms that happen and preparing our physical bodies for holding more and more light, we have to get our consciousness to that fifth dimensional matrix first, and then our physical form will follow. So I don't know how I got off on that tangent and what I was talking about, but the point is that you're still, you're still going to be in the third dimensional matrix. So I don't know what other people are talking about out there in terms of whatever people are talking about, but you can't, you're still going to look out and things are going to look exactly the same. You're just going to be energetically experiencing it very differently. And again, like I was saying earlier, all the different ways in which you can be living in a fourth dimensional space is being in your physical form, first and foremost, right? Being in the body and connecting to your light body inside your physical body. Working, living, breathing, and following your higher self as opposed to your ego, and learning how to do that and integrating that. Divine will, right? That's instead of free will. Letting go of control, letting go of expectation, figuring out how to live in flow, letting go of all of your need to control, understanding and seeing all other beings on the earth plane as divine and perfect, that they chose that path, regardless of what my judgment may be. There is no judgment when you start moving into the fourth dimensional matrix. There's no judgment. You don't judge other people's experiences. You don't judge other people's choices. You see them as divine beings of light that created a blueprint when they came down into their physical form. And lo and behold, they're playing it out. Good for them. Hallelujah. Honor that. They're playing out what they came down onto the earth plane to do. Just like you should be honored for what you are playing out. Who are we to judge, right? So having compassion, empathy, understanding that we're not victims, that nothing has happened to us that we didn't create, as hard as that is for people. Everything that we have gone through along the way on our path, we have created. Whether we created it before we came down into physical form, or we created it and manifested it in the current life as we're living, moving, and breathing through this life, through our thoughts. Fourth dimensional matrix is understanding the power of your thoughts, that your thought actually creates your reality. Understanding how to intend and create and design your next reality, the next highest version of you. How do I do that? Starting to co-create and work with all your guides, which means you start to connect and open. Now, one of the things that's coming in right now that they want me to say also is, don't beat yourselves up if I'm saying all these things and you're like, oh, I'm not doing that yet. I'm not doing that yet. I'm not going to get in, right? This is what the human does. Oh, I'm not going to be able to get into the fourth dimensional matrix. I'm going to miss out. I'm missing out. Now what am I going to do? How do I get this faster? How do I work on this? How do I make sure that I'm what she's saying? How do I make sure I'm doing that? Well, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that, right? The human starts to judge and critique themselves. And oh my God, the door's opening. She's saying the door's opening and I want to jump into that fourth dimensional matrix. We all do. And we're all going. The purpose of this video is just to let you know what's happening on a collective level. I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold a fourth dimensional frequency in the beginning of the new year. I'll find out as I move in the next couple of weeks. Move meaning as this cellular transmutation is happening within me. The only way I'm going to know is when I know. And not having any expectation around that. There's no good or bad. I will be in that frequency when I'm ready to be in that frequency, when I can match it. And I'm not going to push anything in order to get there. I'm going to let my higher self drive the car and move me into it when I'm ready. And it might be in March. It may be in April, June, July. Who knows? The end of the year. I don't know. I don't know. The purpose of this video is to let you know what's happening, where we are on the Richter scale of energy. Not to say, hey, all of us are going to be in this fourth dimensional matrix and you missed it. Sorry. Good luck. Hope you can meet us over here sometime. That's not the purpose. The purpose is, hey, we've done an amazing freaking job. We have now matched a fourth dimensional frequency that we can move over into once each physical human body has met it. Meaning that the collective energy on the earth plane has shifted enough to allow us to meet this matrix, this fourth dimensional energy field. And then each human has the free will and choice, once they connect to it, to begin to live in it. There's billions of people on the planet. It's going to take a very long time for every single one of these people on the planet to move over into this consciousness. Right? But the point is that we've made it. We've made it here. And now we got to make it here. It's a celebration, really. We should be having a party. Like, we made it. We made it to this space. And we got a lot longer to go to get to the fifth, but we made it here. And so there's a lot of cellular transformation and transmutation that's happening. Rest, be gentle on yourselves. Don't beat yourselves up. Wherever you are along the path, it doesn't matter. If you just started your awakening process, great. Look what you have to look forward to. And for those of you that are just now waking up, your transformation is going to go 1,000 times faster than those of us that have been on this path for 30 freaking years. Okay? Because everything is speeding up exponentially, faster than we can possibly imagine, and then some. So if you're just now entering into this world and saying, oh my God, I have so much to catch up on. Nope, it's going to happen real fast. Remember, here's a fourth dimensional matrix, and the earth and humanity has raised the frequency on the planet to match this now, meaning we have the opportunity to move into this space finally. The veils have thinned enough. There's enough energy and frequency and light that is spinning, that has shifted us. But each individual human has their own frequency. So they have to match this fourth dimensional matrix. Just because the earth and the collective as a whole, as a planetary space, has been able to move itself up to this fourth dimensional space, doesn't mean that everybody on the planet is going to shift over. It doesn't happen that way. It's an individual opportunity, an individual basis. Where are you on the Richter scale, right? You can almost imagine that there's two Earths. There's many different Earths. So there's a fifth dimensional Earth as well. But we haven't reached the fifth dimensional matrix yet. The Earth hasn't reached that, but it's right here. The Earth in the fifth dimension is right here. The Earth in the fourth dimension, believe it or not, we've hit it. Now you're going to look out in the third dimensional matrix and say, I'm sorry, we haven't hit it. Yes, we have. Just because you're seeing chaos, just because you're seeing destruction, just because you're seeing more evil than ever, the darker it is, the better, because it's being cleared out to move us up even higher. And eventually we will no longer see this dark. This dark has to come up in order to be cleared, transmuted. So what we've been realizing or recognizing is in the last year how much darkness has been coming up, how intense the darkness is, because it's clearing so that we could get to this level where we are right now. It doesn't mean that the darkness is going to go away. There's still clearing that has to happen on the earth plane. There's still darkness that has to happen on the earth plane. Darkness that needs to be cleared on the earth plane. But just because you see it and you're looking out doesn't mean that we're not in that space, in this matrix, or matching it, right? So again, all these cups are inside one size, one small, big size, and then a medium size, and a smaller size, smaller size, smaller size, until you get to that tiny little cup, right? They're all being held by this big one. They're all existing. Thousands of different realities are existing from here to this fourth dimensional matrix and then up. Now we have the opportunity to match the fourth dimensional matrix and move over. Okay? And there's all these ways of experiencing the third dimensional matrix in the meantime. So just know that you're moving. But the beautiful piece is that we are now, come 2019, a couple more weeks, basically. There's just a little bit more transmutation for this in the cellular structure of the body. We'll be able to live, we'll be able to connect to the fourth dimensional consciousness and frequency on a regular basis. This was a little bit challenging message to get across, so I'm hoping that it made sense. I might have gone in circles a couple times. I'm really hoping this made sense. And also, if you have questions regarding this, can you comment down below the questions? Because I think there's maybe a lot of questions about this. This feels bigger than just what I expressed. This was all new information that just came in, and it felt important to share now as we are moving into this. So to sum it up, be gentle on yourselves. Your body, your physical form is shifting on a cellular level. It's not going to feel the same as purging emotion or clearing trauma or releasing really intense belief systems, although that may be happening. What's happening at an even deeper core is that the cellular structure within your physical body is shifting, literally transmuting, so that it can hold on a constant basis that fourth dimensional frequency. The fourth dimensional frequency, which is a much higher frequency than the third dimension, even though it's only one number up. I don't know why it's happening, why it feels very rushed, almost as if we were supposed to get there and we haven't gotten there. So now they're speeding up the process to get humanity there and to get the earth there. The earth is doing more transmutation than I've ever felt in my life right now. She is clearing, this beautiful being is clearing, you guys, in a way that I've never felt before. If you work with the grids and the earth and the matrix, or the grid lines around the earth, you probably are aware of it or feeling it, but she is working overtime to get us to match this fourth dimensional matrix. Beautiful being. She's doing so much work. And so are we, right? So are we. So we reflect. We're doing it together. The earth and the humanity are doing it together. And every other being that's existing. So I'm going to leave it at that. Summing it up, we are entering into the ability to be in a fourth dimensional matrix at all times. And you may or may not be vibrating at that frequency in the beginning of the new year. So I think sometimes there's teachers that do a disservice to humanity by saying, hey, this is what's happening and this is where you're going to go. And then you look around and you're like, okay, well, that's the date and the time, and this hasn't happened to me. What's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? Or, am I slower than other people? This is just a space and time that has opened. And when the human is prepared and ready, they will move into it. It's not going anywhere. But it's a monumental task that we were able to get here. And that's the most important piece to this video. It's a monumental task that we were all able to shift to this frequency on a large collective conscious bubble, so that we have the opportunity to meet it and move over to it. A little bit of a mind mess, because then it's like, well, how can I still be feeling the third dimension, right? How can the third dimensional matrix and density still be here? Remember, all the different dimensions and frequencies exist in this now moment. So as we're shifting, so there are going to be humans that are going to be in a fifth dimensional frequency, and there are going to be humans in a third dimensional frequency, all existing on the same planet, all existing in the same land. But we're going to be holding different frequencies as we are shifting. That's multidimensionality for you. In a couple of years, there's going to be fifth dimensional, not physical yet, energetic, okay? Fifth dimensional humans living and walking in a fifth dimensional matrix, millions walking in a fourth dimensional matrix, and millions walking in a third dimensional matrix, all on the same earth plane, but living in different consciousnesses and realities. It's happening right now. But what we have designed and created, what we've matched and been able to get to, is a high enough frequency and vibration to slip over and into this fourth dimensional space. Instead of going up and down, back and forth, now it's this when you're ready. So have patience with yourself. You will get there. You will absolutely, unequivocally, 1,000,000,000% get there. So take the pressure off. You don't need to go research things. You don't need to go to courses or classes. You don't need to study anything. This is all a natural process. You can go ahead and do that. It's fine. It's not going to harm you, but you don't need to. It's a natural process. Naturally, you will meet it and start to be in it on a constant, this is a regular basis. Many of us are already tapping into it and coming back down, tapping into it, coming back down. and the 5th coming back down. Okay, I'm going to stop. This is 45 minutes. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in this community, in this YouTube community with me. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for liking my videos. Thank you all that have been reaching out on email and Instagram and Facebook and just letting me know how these messages are impacting you. It's really not me. It's your guides. It's your higher self. It's you that's ready to hear it and ready to kind of come together and do this all at the same time. We're all doing it together, right? I'm just the translator at times. So thank you. If there's anybody that you think would valid or resonate with this video, or it would assist them or help them in understanding what's going on with them currently, please send it over to them and let them hear that they're not crazy and they're not alone. I look forward to 2019 to see how we move into this new space. What's it going to look like? What's it going to feel like? I mean, I think it's going to be very similar to where we are right now. I just think there's going to be this constant sort of expression and experience of a much higher frequency that we're going to be at. No more of the up and down, up and down. And again, no judgments about where you're at. No judgments about somebody else being in a different space than you are. No judgments. That's a 4th dimensional frequency, right? Which you'll eventually get to. I still have judgments. I mean, if I were to be completely honest, I'm not quite in that 4th dimensional frequency at all times, right? I'm still watching myself move back and forth. It's a beautiful, slow process. But what an amazing gift that we have been able to, as light workers around the world, doing work for many, many thousands of years. So many of you watching this have been doing work for thousands of years. There's many of you watching this that are starseeds and that are preparing your own physical form to click into that higher frequency and start to do your work. So this is monumental, because if you're a starseed, the only way your purpose can, a lot of you, millions of you, your purpose begins and clicks in once the frequency is at a high enough level, because your work exists in a higher consciousness. So this is an opportunity for the starseeds to begin to do their work, because we will be leveling out at a higher frequency, opening up to a higher frequency. So if you're a starseed looking around saying, what am I supposed to do? Hallelujah, you're getting closer and closer, because we've done so much work and we've raised the vibration so high that we're now connecting to that 4th dimensional frequency, consciousness. And if you're a starseed, your work may begin in that consciousness. May begin at a 5th dimensional consciousness. It really depends on what you came down here for. Okay, I love you all so much. Thank you for being here. I will speak to you all soon. Please like this video if you liked it. Pass it along to anybody that you think may benefit from it. Subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.